And just before we wrap this up, two more tips for editors that are very important. One is to set up styles. So once you've created a page that you like, if you created your master page, I showed you earlier how to import styles from another document, but somebody had to make these in the first place. So let's pretend we created this page and we like the way it looks, but we hadn't used any styles. We just picked the fonts and now we're happy with what we have and we want to add our fonts in. So I'm going to show you how this works. I'm going to go to my master page in this case. So I had this piece here and I'm going to go to my paragraph styles, and right now it's saying secondary headline plus because I've resized that, right? So if I click on back on my folio, it would change it back to what we had earlier. So I'm going to say I like this one here, and it's not a predefined one, so I want to create a new one. So I'm going to click on my menu and say new paragraph style, and I'm going to call this new folio and hit enter. So now it's created a new style called new folio. It doesn't show any difference here, but if I click on this font and click on folio, it would give me the old style, and if I click on new folio, I now get the new style. So that's a quick way to create that. You also have character styles, but they don't inherit traits like spacing, alignment, and those kind of things. So that might be okay for a headline, but it's not very good if you're going to be working with yearbook pages. You can also create object styles, which will give you things like strokes and the way images are centered, but again, that becomes problematic when you resize stuff, so I recommend you don't actually use that when you're creating your styles. I'm going to go back to my page because I want to show you one last tool that's very handy for editors, and that is InDesign is able to create automatic captions based on metadata of photos, which means you can in proofing, you could do this with a couple of clicks. So first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my layers and I'm going to make one extra layer. So I'm going to add one layer. So it's called layer 2, and I'm going to go to one photo, right click, go into captions and say caption setup. And what I want in here, I want to have size, and I'm going to give the metadata the effective PPI, which is what we want to know when we are placing photos, that we are high enough resolution. And I want to give it the name. I want to know what the file is called, so that if I have a broken link or something, I can find it. And then where do I want it? I want it below the image, or I want it above the image. You can play around where I want it, but let's say I want it below the image, and I want the offset to be a -3, which means it will actually jump it up for me. And then the paragraph style I want to use my style called new folio that I just created, and I want to put it on the layer 2, the new layer I created. So now I can say OK. So nothing looks different, but now if I select these 6 photos together or 5 photos together, and I go into captions and I say generate live caption, I can click on this and it will create these captions for me, which when I zoom in will tell me the size, the effective PPI, and the name of the file. This is not the greatest font as I'm noticing here, but you get the idea. Now if you take that photo and you hover over it and you resize it, I'm going to hold my shift key and I'm going to resize it badly. You notice now it's giving me my size by multiplication number, so you know immediately that your image is stretched. So it's a very useful tool to have these live captions, and when you go off to export it before you send it to the printer, all you have to do is turn the layer off and they all disappear. So a very handy tool for editing. I hope you got a lot out of this, and let me know if you have any feedback. Thank you.